Mr. Chair, Qatar supports the inscription of the site with the proposed amendments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. And I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of India, followed by Jamaica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving India the floor. My experts have read the dossier carefully and also listened to the ICOMOS's report just presented. India thanks the State Party of Italy for the amazing nomination of the art and architecture funerary tradition in the prehistory of Sardinia, the Domus de Janas, and commends their effort to document and preserve an extraordinary testimony of prehistoric funerary culture. We commend the rigorous research, documentation, and conservation efforts that have gone into presenting this remarkable property to the committee. We also support the draft amendment presented by the delegation of Greece for its well-considered amendment proposing the inscription of this property rather than a referral. India fully supports this amendment for the following reasons. First, we're convinced by the depth and clarity of the outstanding universal value demonstrated in this nomination. The Domus de Janas, with their intricate architecture, symbolic carvings, and enduring use over millennia, represent a unique and exceptional testimony to prehistoric funerary traditions and social structures in the Euro-Mediterranean region. These hypogeel tombs speak not only to the beliefs of the past, but also to the shared cultural heritage of the humankind. Secondly, India acknowledges that while there are areas where management and interpretive frameworks can continue to be refined, the current nomination presents a credible and adequate governance structure under national and regional legislation. The existing management plan and legal protections provide a solid foundation for the property's conservation and long-term sustainability. India believes that the inscription of the property at this stage, with the refined scope and conditions as proposed in the amendment, honors the spirit of the Convention and encourages further excellence in site stewardship without withholding the deserved recognition of the site's immense cultural value. In view of this, India strongly supports the amendment proposed by Greece to inscribe the property on the World Heritage List under Criterion 3, and we invite fellow committee members to join us in doing so as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of Jamaica, following by Argentina.
Thank you, Chair. Jamaica thanks Italy for the nomination representing the prehistory of Sardinia, the Domus de Janas. In review of this nomination, we note ICOMOS's recommendation for a referral. However, it is also noted that ICOMOS considers the nominated property has demonstrated a strong potential to justify outstanding universal value by focusing on the hypogean burials and the necropolises. As such, upon close examination of ICOMOS's evaluation and the amendment to the nomination proposed by Greece, in particular, the efforts of the state party to refocus the narrative to reflect only the funerary traditions in Domus de Janas, which is supported by a reduction in the series, the use of Criterion 3, and a change of name of the property, we are of the view that the state party has adjusted its nomination to adhere to the recommendations of ICOMOS. In addition, given that ICOMOS considers the state of conservation of the property to be good overall and the factors affecting it are under control, Jamaica supports the amendment proposed by Greece for inscription on the World Heritage List under Criterion 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of Argentina, following by Kazakhstan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We thank ICOMOS for its report on this nomination, as well as the State Party for the complementary information provided. The Domus de Janas represent the most extensive and rich manifestation of Hypogean funerary practices, spiritual belief, and social evolution of Sardinia's prehistoric communities. Following the information presented by the State Party, we agree that the Domus de Janas meets the Criterion 3 as a unique and exceptional testimony of a vanished cultural tradition. Moreover, and as it has been said here, all the assets in the proposed subsidiary site are subject to national and regional legislation with a very strict regulation on cultural heritage. We support the detailed amendment presented by Greece for the inscription of the site in the World Heritage List and kindly ask the state party to continue its effort for the protection and conservation of the site in a cooperative and constructive dialogue with the advisory bodies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of Kazakhstan, followed by Lebanon, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you want attention to even the longest and dullest intervention, you can say, let me be brief. So let me be brief. We know that the proposed amendment submitted by Greece recognize and incorporate the main considerations and recommendations outlined by ICOMOS. Kazakhstan appreciates the reasonable and balanced approach concerned, which aims to strengthen the nomination in line with the Convention standards. We would like to co-author the proposed amendments and join the spirit of consensus that they represent. I thank you.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of Lebanon, following by St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lebanon congratulates ICOMOS for the excellent evaluation and the exceptional quality of the Domus de Janus of Sardinia, which unquestionably warrant inscription on the World Heritage List. We commend the State Party for its efforts and the adaptation of the State Party to the recommendations, and we consider that the inscription will add great value to the World Heritage List. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, followed by Rwanda.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines joins other members of the World Heritage Committee in support of the amendment submitted by Greece to inscribe the funerary tradition in the prehistory of Sardinia, the Domus de Janus in Italy, as a World Heritage Site under criteria 3. We anticipate the submission of the maps of the revised property boundaries by December the 1st, 2025, and the report on the implementation of the recommendations listed in the amendment to the World Heritage Center by 1st December 2026. We also acknowledge the hard work of both the ICOMOS and the State Party of Italy in putting this nomination together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I give the floor to the esteemed delegate of Rwanda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We wish to join Greece and the other members of the committee who supported the amendment proposing the inscription of the art and the architecture in the prehistory of Sardinia, the Domus de Janus, on the World Heritage List under the criterion 3. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. I see no more questions and comments. I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 47.8b.26. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, Chair. We have received an amendment from Greece, co-sponsored by Mexico, Republic of Korea, and in the room we have the following additional sponsors: Belgium, Ukraine, Qatar, Vietnam, Jamaica, Argentina, Kazakhstan, Lebanon, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And Rwanda. Thank you. Paragraph 1 is unchanged. Para 2 inscribes the funerary tradition, Domus de Janus, Italy, with the exception of the following component parts: fortified complex of Monte Baranta, number 4, Sanctuary of Monte d'Accordi, 6, Necropolis of Limuri, 10, Dolmen of Sacovecada, 12, Shelter of Lusanas, 13, village of Seralinta, 17, Grota Corbedu, 22, menhir of Montecorro Tundu, 23, shelter of Suforo de Cinsuredos, and the stone tool workshops of Ceniccedo, 24, on the World Heritage List on the basis of criterion number 3. Paragraph 3 takes note of the following provisional outstanding universal value. This is only voted in for the time being. Paragraph 4 recommends that the state parties take into consideration the following points. Deletion of the word, the phrase selected nominated, subpara B, nominated to be deleted, subpara C unchanged, subpara E, deletion of nominated, new subpara F, establishing a more comprehensive governance system for the property taking into account all relevant stakeholders, subpara 5. Request the state party to submit to the WHC by 1st of December 26 a report on the implementation of the above-mentioned recommendations for review by the WHC at its 49th session. And my apologies to Italy if I mispronounced some of the words.
I see India, Japan, Kenya, and Senegal who want to take the floor. It is it to be added to the list of supporters? Yes, okay. And Zimbabwe?
No, not Zimbabwe.
No.
Zambia.
Sorry?
And Zambia.
Zambia. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's add your names.
And
Bulgaria, So it's India, Japan, Kenya, Senegal, Zambia, and Bulgaria. So I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 47.8b.26. If the committee members agree with the para 1, any objection? I see none. Adopt. Is the committee member agree with the para 2? I see none objection. Adopt. Is the committee member agree with the para 3? I see none objection. Adopt. Para 4, we need to see. Is the committee member agree with the para 4? No objection. Adopt. Para 5. Is the committee member agree with para 5? I see no objection. Adopt. No. I therefore declare the draft decision 47.8b.26 adopted. Let me congratulate Italy on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this property. Italy, you have the floor for a brief two-minute statement. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, dear Director, distinguished colleagues, the inscription of the Domus Deianas on the World Heritage List is a source of great pride and satisfaction for Italy, as well as a significant responsibility for my country. I warmly thank the World Heritage Center and ICOMOS for their constant assistance and guidance, and all the members of this committee for your considerable trust. I wish to acknowledge also all those who made this extraordinary and choral achievement possible: proponents, scholars, local communities, regional and local administrations, under the thoughtful coordination of the Minister of Culture, starting from Minister Alessandro Giuli and Deputy Minister Gianmarco Mazzi, and of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, in particular our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister Antonio Tajani. Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le Directeur.
Chair, Director, we sometimes hear that Sardinia has its border the sea, and in the west, the dusk. Thanks to your recognition, you make it shine even more brightly in the Mediterranean by bringing out these hidden treasures and encouraging, bringing out its fascinating memory, its deep values. Thank you once again, and I'm honored to give the floor to the President of Sardinia, Madame Todi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished delegates, excellencies, the inscription of Domus de Llanas in the UNESCO's World Heritage List is an extraordinarily important recognition for Sardinia and Italy as a whole. This is a unique heritage. More than 3,500 prehistoric rock cuts dug and built tombs dating back to the Neolithic period, which tell us the story of the earliest origin of the Sardinian civilization. With a widespread distribution and the symbolic richness of many decorated sites, the Domus de Llanas testify to a deep cultural identity, now finally recognized as such international level. This achievement is the result of a collective work of the region, the Ministry of Culture, MAECI, the representation of UNESCO, CESIM, and the Sardinia municipalities involved. This is our historic achievement that strengthens our community sense of belonging and opens up a new growth opportunity for development, sustainable cultural tourism, to job creation, and the enhancement of the innermost of my heart.
Congratulations once again. I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of Huichol Route Truth Sacred Sites to Wirikuta, Tatehuari, Huajuye, Mexico. ICOMOS, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. This is the presentation of ICOMOS evaluation of the Huichol routes through sacred sites to Wirikuta, Tatehuari, Huajuye, Mexico. The ICOMOS report can be found in document INF 8P1 on the page 284 of the English version and page 47 of the French version. The nominated serial property is a cultural route consisting of 20 component parts spanning over 500 kilometers through the Mexican states of Nayarit, Jalisco, Zacatecas, San Luis Potosi, and Durango. This route represents the living spiritual and ritual tradition of the Wixárika indigenous people centered on the pilgrimage Wirikuta, a desert landscape considered the place of creation and the birthplace of the sun. The nominated route is not a linear trail, but a network of pilgrimage trails encompassing sacred sites, shrines, ceremony centers, and ecological landmarks of symbolic significance. The pilgrimage is undertaken annually, renewing the Wixárika cosmology and reinforcing traditional knowledge, communal bonds, and environmental stewardship. The 20 component parts include sacred mountains, wetlands, rock formations, springs, and ritual landscapes. The nominated property covers an area of 135,420.66 hectares, and buffer zones have been delineated. The nominated property includes several sacred sites that together articulate the full ritual sequence. The route begins in Teacata in Tapuri, Jalisco, reaches its climax at Wirikuta in San Luis Potosi, and incorporates two key sites, Tate Haramara in Nayarit and Hausha Manaka in Durango, which symbolically frame the sacred geography of the Wixárika. The nominated property is an exceptional testimony to the continuing cultural traditions of the Wixárika people. It represents one of the most enduring spiritual traditions of Mesoamerica. It manifests a living spiritual worldview rooted in reciprocity with the natural world. Rituals carried out at each component part reinforce cultural identity, maintain agrobiodiversity, and ensure the success of the traditional agricultural cycle known as the milpa. Peyote, golden eagles, deer, and maize are among the sacred beings honored during the pilgrimage. The landscape and its attributes form a cohesive spiritual map actively used by ceremonial leaders and families. The nominated property expresses the Wixárika cosmology and the traditional ecological knowledge through its continued ceremonial use. The comparative analysis demonstrates the distinctiveness of the nominated property. The Wisho route is outstanding for its scale, continuity, ritual complexity, and integration of natural elements across diverse ecosystems. ICOMOS considers the nominated property meets criteria 3 and 6. Criteria 5, related to traditional land use, has not been retained, as the arguments put forward for this criterion are not supported and do not constitute the focus of what makes the nominated serial property stand out. The requirement for integrity and authenticity have been met. The pilgrimage is practiced annually with broad community consensus. All component parts are integral to the ritual cycle and the sacred landscape. The boundaries are adequate. However, some vulnerabilities exist due, among others, to mining pressures and the access limitation caused by private land ownership, which can affect the full ritual use of parts of the route. The nominated property benefits from national legal protection, including the Federal Decree of Sacred Sites from 2023 and relevant amendments to the mining law and Mexican Constitution. These frameworks support the protection of sacred landscapes, indigenous rights, and cultural continuity. They also enshrine constitutional recognition of indigenous territories and spiritual practices. The management system is coordinated by Consejo Regional Wixárika, in acronym CRW, in collaboration with national and state agencies. The Integrated Management, Conservation and Safeguarding Plan from 2024 to 2030 provides strategic guidance, including fee, prior and informed consent, FPIC, mechanisms, community governance, and interinstitutional cooperation. ICOMOS notes that threats remain, particularly from tourism pressures related to the consumption of peyote, and ongoing legal challenges concerning mining concessions. Unauthorized spiritual tourism and over-harvesting of peyote present growing risks. Further monitoring, visual education, and enforcement are recommended. Here is a summary of the ICOMOS evaluation of the proposed outstanding universal values of the nominated property. ICOMOS recommends that the Huichol routes through sacred sites to Wirikuta, Tatewari, Wajuje in Mexico be inscribed on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 3 and 6. ICOMOS has included a number of further recommendations in the draft decision to support the long-term conservation of the property. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ICOMOS, for this presentation. I now invite you to adopt the draft decision 47.8b.31. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments on the draft decision proposed.
Thank you, sir.
we have received one amendment submitted by Belgium and Jamaica to paragraph 2. There is a proposal to change the name and to inscribe the Wixárika route through the sacred routes to Wirikuta, Tetehuari, Huahuye, Mexico, on the World Heritage List on the basis of criteria 3 and 6.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Belgium, you have the floor, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, sir. Belgium would like to start by thanking ICOMOS for the high quality of its analysis, which has put us in a position better to understand the wealth of this property. Now you can see that Belgium has submitted an amendment which essentially deals with the change of name to reflect the local language best, and I think this explanation is sufficient. So on behalf of the committee, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, if the committee agreed to adopt the para 1, I see none objection. They adopt. Is the committee agreed to adopt the para 2 as amended? I see none objection. Adopt. Is the committee agree with the para 3 to adopt this? I see no objections. Adopt. Is the committee agree with para 4? No objections. Adopt. Is possible to show it para 4? No? That is? So? I therefore declare the draft decision 47.8b.26 adopted as amended. Sorry. Let me congratulate Mexico on behalf of the entire committee for the inscription of this property. Mexico, you have the floor for a brief 2-minute statement. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, sir. The Wixárika travel more than 500 kilometers to reconnect with the gods, transcend the ephemeral, the contradictory, the past and the present and current problems. Worshipping the gods who create the Dob, they make a pilgrimage to Wirikuta on a journey from the sea to the center of Mexico. Wirikuta, according to the words Fernando Benitez, is a colossal holy land. There, the gods performed their creative feats in the origin of time, and there is hardly a rock, spring, pool, plant, cave, abyss, or hill that is not linked to a mythical event or ritual. Everything takes on its meaning. Everything requires a higher nature. Dear committee members, after 7 years, our country is inscribing a new property on the World Heritage List, and this took more than 30 years to prepare. On behalf of the Wixárika communities, the Government of Mexico, the Minister of Culture, the Ministry of Culture, the National Institute of Anthropology and History, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the state governments of the states of Nayarit, Durango, Jalisco, Zacatecas, and San Luis Potosí, and the Human Conservation Association. We would like to thank the World Heritage Committee, the Secretariat, and above all, ICOMOS, for their invaluable support in protecting the world of the Wixárika, which extends over the landscapes, trees, rocks, chasms, deer, eagles, sacred sites, and humankind itself as an act of redemption for the peoples of the world. And I would now like to give the floor to a representative of the Wixárika community, and we will hear the message firstly in their own language, followed by an interpretation in Spanish, which you will be able to hear via the interpreters in French and English.
Comité del Patrimonio Mundial de la UNESCO, Japona, órganos consultivos. Ya reca Japona al Estado mexicano. Ico patrimonio remaka utia remi hukak. Remi uianik. Nanakate kakayari remamukutautakazi. Ya Japona wirar tarwayer quien uyukuhane repi uiani. Consejo Regional Wixárika Conservación Humana, ya hipato uwaka tewamatka, muy rawiatar urmayatzka, maputaji, mayukumaika ku wirar tarwayer quien uyukuhana. Ya Japona wate tema, waka kauma, kemente ukutautaka. Pampariutsi.
We thank UNESCO's World Heritage Committee and its advisory bodies, as well as the American state for its commitment to protecting our territories, sacred sites and ancestral pilgrimage routes. After many years of fighting for the recognition and protection of our sacred sites, where the essences of life are founded and our ancestors have their home, we are accomplishing one of the requests of the Wixárika Regional Council through the Association Conservación Humana and our allies. Thank you very much.
Once again, congratulations. I now invite ICOMOS to present the nomination of the archaeological landscape of 17th century Port Royal, Jamaica. ICOMOS, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is the presentation of This is the presentation of the ICOMOS evaluation of the archaeological landscape of the 17th century Port Royal, Jamaica. The ICOMOS report can be found in a document INF 8B1 on page 301 of the English version and page 66 of the French version. In 1692, a severe earthquake devastated Port Royal, which is situated on a spit of land, palisados, at the mouth of Kingston Harbor in southeastern Jamaica. The disaster destroyed the town and submerged a large portion of it under water and sand. Today, the vestiges of the territorial and underwater elements of Port Royal are exceptional illustrations of an English urban settlement of the 17th century. Its well-protected deep water ports allowed the town to quickly become one of the wealthiest and most significant port cities of the British Empire, and its most important regional and transatlantic trade hub in the Americas for goods and for enslaved Africans. Surviving vestiges include the remains of 6 forts that guarded the town, some of which are now underwater, and archaeological evidence of the ensemble of residential, religious, and administrative buildings of the 17th century town.